friend of mine. And Ash is here to help me talk about
Yes.
create versus preserve value
Mhm.
between the men and women. Ash, first of all, thank you for coming. I
Thank you
really
for having me.
appreciate you.
I really
All
appreciate it.
right. So with that being said, Ash, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
So my name is Ashraf Obaji, and I'm from the Middle East, Syria, Aleppo, and I came to United States late 2015, early 2016, and I came here to study exercise science and physical therapy. I deviated from that to studying exercise science, and now I specialize in stretch therapy. And I also do personal training, but I'm mostly doing stretch therapy in my life. I'm about 28 years old, and I speak Arabic, Turkish, and English. Turkish is not as good though. I
So
don't
it's
use it as
not,
much.
not as good.
No.
Well, many folks only speak one language,
Yes.
and that's English, right? Especially in the Western world, right?
Yep.
So by you even having the option to say a third one, you've got millions of Americans beat. millions of Americans beat. So no. I definitely appreciate you. I definitely want to thank you for coming. Coming in to speak with us today. This is your first time on a podcast, by the way. This is episode 58, everyone, and we have went through a few hurdles to get here, but Men Speaking Out is all about talking to reveal, not to conceal. And of course, today I have Ash helping me talking to reveal on this podcast. So let's talk about it for a second. Okay, we have someone that says good evening, Boz and guests. So someone already spoke to us already on the podcast.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I know, right? Pretty cool. So let's talk about this for a second, right? So what is the inherent value that women have that men don't, right?
So,
Give me your feedback on
in
that.
my opinion, and it comes from my experience and from the field of study that I specialize in. I'm more of a person who leans towards biology and leans towards like where we came from, and I look at it this way. I think that the inherent the inherent value of women is that the fundamental value is that they're who does the selection. And I'm not saying about it in like, oh, I want this, I want that. No, I'm talking about the selection of the next generation, the selection of the next youth, the selection of the mate that they choose to have in their life in order for that person to procreate with them, and in order for them to come together to create a one coherent organization, which is a family, the smallest type of organization, to build these youth up to become the best that their potential can conceive of. And they're they're the strongest and the most important role for them is to make the correct and the right selection in this process. So
Mhm.
if let's simplify it to this. Let's say a woman and a man have sex. What is the worst consequence that a man can have is for him to have a child, for him to throw a fit and say I'm not responsible for it and just leave or disappear. The worst consequences for a woman is for her to carry that child for the whole 9 months, and that's tremendous taxation on her body for those 9 months, and then you're gonna have to take care of that child after birth, and then you're alone, and this is a tremendous burden, and I don't think any single person uh, should have to take that burden on themselves. And that's why I think biologically, in order to create a person, you need two people. So the value, the inherent value of woman biologically is that
Mm.
is to select and to make the right selection.
Okay, so basically, but obviously, uh, this I get that, but sometimes women don't make the well, we as people don't make the best decisions.
No.
Right, exactly. So that's why you still have single parents out here,
Mhm.
right? Raising children, working 40 plus hours a week, not spending enough time at home with the child. The child is obviously the television is raising the child, other outside influences are raising the child, so I get it when the inherent value biologically for a
Mhm.
woman is to actually have a womb
Mhm.
to give the man the greatest gift she could ever give him, and that is a child.
Mhm.
But at the same token, outside of the biological inherent value, what other value, in your opinion, does a woman bring to the table?
So the way I could describe it is looking at my current relationship with my girlfriend, and She brings to me the comfort of her trust in me. Okay, when she trusts me, that kind of gives me feeling that okay, I am responsible for so many things beyond my the grasp of my reaching. And her value, the things that she add to me is her belief in me, her supporting to my cause and to the things that I'm trying to do, her mental capacity of thinking. She is a whole another brain that can brainstorm with me and figure out the best solution to any given situation that I'm having. Because she's my girlfriend, I'm somewhat sharing my life with her. So yes, I'm gonna ask her about everything that I think she can help me with.
Mhm.
And her ability also to make me look in society as a competent man, as a person that she loves and that she respects. And there's a lot more to her than what I just mentioned, but these are the things that off the top of my head that I can mention. But yeah, especially on like the outside world, like when we're not together, when we're not alone, when we're involved with the society, one of the most valuable things is for her to make me look good, and not embarrass me, and help me increase the my ability to show my competence, my ability to show my confidence. And she can do that by just existing next to me. And she also can do that by standing up to me or help me stand up to certain things that has slipped, my mind through them going across. And that's not just my girlfriend that did that. I remember friends of mine that are way younger than me
Mhm.
that had told me before. I don't remember her name. Lynn. She one of our friends in the group kind of talked to me in a weird way. She's like, Ash, why are you letting him talk to you like that? Why would you allow him to ever talk to you like that? So, however, she's not responsible for something like that. I think my girlfriend would be responsible for telling me, why would you allow someone to talk to you in a way that they shouldn't be talking to you like? So there's a lot of values that kind of intersect in my like something that she's responsible for, something she's not responsible for. But there's a whole lot of values beyond that biological value. But the fundamental is what I just mentioned a minute ago.
Well, you just mentioned something that's very interesting to me, to say the least, as far as being able to, basically what you're saying, she should have your back. Is what I mean.
Basically,
Yeah, that's what you said, right? So, and that's the challenge here, right? Because there are a lot of women who believe that they can do all good by themselves, and so they don't necessarily have the, I don't know, I want to say push or tenacity or however word you want to use. They feel that you're the man,
hmm
you know, you take care of yourself,
hmm
you know, and it's like selective, right? Well, I'm your helpmate, right? Not here to, I'm your helpmate to help you, but not help to protect you, not help to comfort you, not help to support you, but I'm here maybe from a financial perspective. I'm here maybe from a physical, sexual perspective. I'm here from everything else that's not necessarily important,
hmm
but not as important to where you need them to be for you in a situation like that, right? Because see, in my experience, of course, obviously I've got a few years ahead of you, so I've been to the circus, already seen the clowns.
Yes. Yes.
So I've been there, done that, and so in my experience, and I will say, being married a few times, um, I didn't have in past relationships, I didn't have that kind of individual who was basically there to be supportive, to be that right hand, that rib, so to speak, that I need. It was basically, when it was on me, it was on me.
hmm
It wasn't that inherent value
hmm
that I saw, which of course, obviously, if it was inherent value, then I probably would have been with that person still to this day.
hmm
But obviously, it wasn't there, right? So the truth of the matter is that do women know? And I'm not saying you're obviously not
From my
professional, your
experience.
experience. Do women know what that really means? Do they really know what it means to have that kind of value to their mate, right?
Mm.
Are they just there to be a pretty face, but are they there to actually bring value to him as an individual, to be supportive, and to be that upper echelon woman, optimal woman, I guess,
Mm.
for their mate?
Well, look at it this way: from the saying, "For beyond every great man, there's a great woman." And if the woman's value is only to look good and to be next to me and to look pretty and wear makeup, that would any escort service would suffice, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I no one would ever be in a relationship. No one would ever get married, let alone you know get married, let alone be in a relationship, or vice versa. However, there is also a wholeness to the feeling of that you have. So, for example, I have a long distance relationship, and I'm like kind of in a battle with my girlfriend about like, hey, I mean, I hate this long distance relationship. One of us gotta come close to each other. And it's like, why? It's like because one of the things that I love about having a girlfriend or having a mate is to know that every time I need them, I can go to them and just forget the world by just having them in my arms or being in her arms for that sake,
Mm-hmm.
or like just coming home from a long day of work and knowing that I will forget about all that stuff and just I'm gonna be with you and I'm gonna have a nice night with you. We're gonna like eat dinner together. We're gonna talk about our day. We're gonna watch a movie and talk about it or something like that. There's not it's not just necessary. There's so much to the individual that that's not necessarily just with a woman. That's with any relationship,
Sure.
even if it's gay or it was like any type of relationship. That's the reason why you'd have a relationship is for you to feel more whole with another person, and you can share your life on a deep level with another person.
Well, people aren't taught that, right? So if you aren't taught, or you haven't witnessed that experience in your life by your parents or your mom or your father, so someone, sister, brother, whatever, in that historically,
Mm-hmm.
then how would you know that, right? For example, like I have a question here, and one of the questions is that, well, actually, I got two questions. One of the questions is, does a man want his woman to protect him? Well, I want to answer that question. And of course, please elaborate. The answer is no. A man does not need a woman to protect him. A man needs a woman to support him in his protection.
Mm-hmm. To keep him in check, basically.
Exactly. To be that voice of reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes with life struggles, we fight enough battles outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to fight them same battles in our home. So we need someone to help level set us from time to time, right? But if she isn't level set, then how can they level set us?
Yes, it's gonna make it worse.
Exactly. So, and question number two that was asked here is, what type of protection does a man want from his woman? Well, I just answered that question.
So, I mean, simply, the type of protection is every person on their own. They're not like every person have weird things, have wrong ideologies, have the weirdest and most wrong uh, way of thinking, and no one is perfect. However, when
Correct.
you join two people that debate and talk and actually communicate, you get closer to having one full, better, correct person. Even then, you're not going to reach 100%, but you're going to get closer to that.
Mhm.
But if you have another person who's only there to consume, not give, not negotiate, they just give me, and they add on to the problems that actually stress you out and make you less able to think correctly and make the right decisions. But the value, no man, no true man wants the woman to physically protect him. No true man wants the woman to physically, because biologically, men are stronger than women. Yes, there's the strongest woman in the world can beat most men out, but the strongest man in the world will beat that strongest woman's ass easily, no questions asked. But what I'm trying to say is, you want another brain, another communication to kind of help you level out the wrong things about that are already inherently in you. And the only way to do that is to truly talk about it and to truly try to brainstorm to come up with a solution to that problem.
Okay, I got you. Well, I guess that you're absolutely right. That there is a difference between a man and a woman physically, right? Exactly. And no man, oh, I'm sorry, men don't need women to protect them physically.
Mm-hmm.
We need women to protect us emotionally.
Yes.
We need women to protect us mentally,
Mm-hmm.
right? We need to have that foundation already established. But like I said, once again, let's go back to the problem. The problem is that If I never taught you how to drive, put you behind the wheel of a car, then you don't know what the gas, the brake, the ignition, even the radio for that matter, right? How to turn it on. So if I never trained you, or coached you to do that, then how would you know? How would you know to be that voice of reason, that sound of possibilities, and to protect the mate that you're with?
Well, the way you would know is through trial and error. And the negatives about these things is that you're gonna make so many mistakes before you get it right, and you're gonna waste so much time until you get it right. So by that time, you're probably gonna be like in your midlife at this point, that where you actually got a hang of it or gotta. So the best example of that, let me just tell you, I was raised by my stepmother, and I believe that she didn't do her due diligence in to raise me the right way. Basically, 6 years of age and after, I was put at the bottom of the list all the time. My dad had 7 kids at the time, and put at the bottom of the list. I was basically put in my room for any small reason, for hours and hours, just locked up in my room. So I didn't really get to socialize with others. My stepmother hated the idea of me going out and playing with the kids at the neighborhood, so she basically denied me that right at all, basically, until I got older and I was able to fight for like in the 14s and above, to fight for that, or just run out of the house for that matter, until I got it. And that got me in a point where I got taken advantage of by a lot of people, especially in America. Whenever I came to America, like I trusted many people way more than I should have done, and that got me financially in problems. That got me spiritually in problems. That got me educationally even in problems. Like the last problem I had was very educational, but I learned the hard way. I had a roommate that was a tyrant, that like just fought and yelled his way out of everything, and just for me to avoid the fights and stuff, instead of me standing up to him and showing him, okay, this shit doesn't pass with me, I just let him do his thing, and just like okay, I told him I was a pushover to an extent, to the point that he would literally think that he's entitled to get my car keys and go to the gas station anytime he wants, and if I refused to allow him to do that, he would like just literally bang on the walls and go crazy and like be mad. And I tried to do that sometimes, and he did it. And then slowly until like I got experience with him, I was like, okay, I'm not okay with him doing that. After like few months into being roommate with him, I started putting a line into this stuff, and eventually it ended like 3-4 days before we actually had a left like being roommates. We were planning on and everything. We got into an altercation in front of our neighbor, and I was talking to the neighbor, and he was like kind of interrupting. I was like, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him. Can you please let me talk? He's like, what the fuck you think you are? I was like, I think whomever. I think started fighting, and then he threw his packet of cigarettes
in front of the neighbor.
In front of the neighbor, yeah.
Wow.
He threw his packet of cigarettes at me, and then I threw it back at him, and then we got into a physical fight. And he was bigger than me physically, and I was not 100% me. I was let's just call it under the influence.
Sure.
So I couldn't fight as much, and I had shit to lose. He didn't have a job. He didn't have anything. He was just playing video games all the time. So he didn't care if he got bruised. But I work at a place where I see clients every day, and I couldn't really go to work bruised, and I ended up going to work bruised. I don't know if you saw me bruised one day, but yeah. So I couldn't keep up fighting. I could have fought with him, but I had to back off, and I'm like, okay, that's enough. I got a very big punch in the eye. Let me go. And that was the hard way for me to learn. And now I don't even let anybody get to that point. I don't even let anybody slide with anything. Any problem that happens with me, I just immediately confront it. And I try to say the truth as much as possible, regardless what I think. If I think something, I'm not going to be afraid to say it, because if I'm afraid to say it to avoid a little conflict, like right now, I'm going to have a bigger conflict in the future that resulted in a physical altercation after like several months with me being roommate with that guy. So that taught me a lesson, but it was the hard way. Same thing is going to happen with the people that don't have parents to teach them. I did not have. My dad was a doctor, being at work for the whole day, and when I come back, I'm either asleep or just telling good night, dad, and go back to sleep. He wasn't aware of all these things that are going on in the house. And my stepmother just basically had her time. Not basically she was basically not liking my mom or my sister, and both of them were away from her. So she revenged from them through me. That's what I think, at least, and that resulted in me having a very low exposure to people and culture and community during my childhood. So I had an early development. I had a late development. I mean, I ended up not maturing until like I was 26 and beyond,
Mm-hmm.
until I actually started getting grasp of the community and life and psychology and people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, it cost me a lot, you know. It cost me a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Somebody in my ambition and in my conscientiousness and my openness should have been in a way better position in life than what I am right now.
Well, I think you know what. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot that you just shared with, you know, hundreds of thousands of people out there in an internet land. I think that honestly, Ash, um, I think that what you just did was you just created value,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Create versus preserve, right?
Yep.
You just created value for yourself.
Yep.
Exactly, because now
I determined my value.
there you go. So now
Basically.
you're not going to allow that same bullshit
Mm-hmm.
to happen, not just to you, but to your children
Mm-hmm.
or to anybody else that you know and love.
Yep.
That's near and dear to you. So you just created that value,
Mm-hmm.
right, for yourself and your future generations.
Yep.
In your bloodline.
Yep.
Right. And I get it. I know that it's a challenge, especially when you're dealing with blended families, and you know, and going through, you know, trying to be cooperative to dad's wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because of course I do know that, you know, especially in Islam, respect is not questionable.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Yeah.
You know, so I trust and believe. I get that wholeheartedly. You know, so well, thank you for sharing that, because that kind of leads into the next few bullet points that I have is that, you know, the what makes a man valuable to a woman, right? That experience that you went through makes you create value to the next to your woman, or to your potential future wife, or whomever that may be, at whatever time that may fall in. But go ahead. So the question I'm asking is, what makes a man valuable to a woman?
So biologically, I forgot what it was, but biologically, when a person is attracted to another, if a female is attracted to a male, if a male is attracted to a female, things that are increased in her perception is safety. He's making her feel more safe. That's why she's getting an increased attraction to him. If a male is attracted to a female, she is making him feel more trustworthy. She is trusting him. He's trusting her. So that is the thing that gets them attracted. So the value that a man can give to a woman, according to that, and according to my experience at the same time that was happening to be synonymous, is so generally. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Oh, it's okay. You're talking about the value that a man brings to a woman.
Yes.
Start being safe.
So
yes.
safety, basically, you have to be. So you have to be competent, and you have to be confident, and you have to be able to take care of a family at least. You know. So if you're a man that doesn't have a job, and that is you know, have lived in his parents' house for almost all his life, you have no ambition, you have no future plans, you have basically nothing to offer, because as a man, you gotta discover your own value and you gotta discover who you are. For a woman, basically, it biologically comes to her that she needs to be the mother of the family. So a man can offer a woman a heart to stay in, not a place to stay, a heart to stay.
Mhm.
So I can protect you and keep you in that heart, without anybody, you know, getting a hold of you. You know, so I can shade you from the rest of the world that you want to be shaded from. Okay, not but like it's not up to me. It's up to you. What do you want to be shaded by? I'm the protection for you. I also provide parenting to the kids if you want to have kids. Provide provide income, because after a while, if we have children, who's supposed to who's built and evolved to take care of these children.
Mhm.
It's the mother. The dad can take care of them, but not as is not. Men are not as compassionate as women by nature. So the woman would be wanting to take more care of the children, no matter. Unless the man is absolutely extremely passionate, more than 50% of most women, and so a man can provide value is food, shelter, and protection.
Okay. So shoot. Okay, food, protection,
And shelter.
and shelter. Right. So what about being the priest as well? Right. Because always my thing is the priest, the provider, and the protector.
Mhm.
Right. Is what a man should bring
Mhm.
to the household, being a man, and that's the value. That's the most value, in my opinion, that a man brings to a woman, especially if they decide to make that commitment to be, in a husband and wife, right? But the problem is with that is that um, a lot of individuals don't believe in marriage anymore,
Yes, which is really bad.
which is really bad. It's awful. It's really god awful, truth be told.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, but why did that happen, right? It happened because it's what society is showing them, that it's okay to shack up. It's okay to not get married. It's okay. And it's really, no, it's not okay. It's awful.
Well, I think it's the society, and at the same time, it's the government, because the fact that I mean, the fact that when you get married, you have to if you get split, you have to split the wealth, whether the woman is the wealthy one or the man is the wealthy one, which is rarely the woman, because men tend to marry up, women could marry down.
Because he great. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, but there's something that they're scared about, which is all. So a man could build all his life, and then at his 40s he decided to get married, and he made the wrong decision by selecting that woman, and she made the right decision by selecting him.
Mhm.
So what would happen is, if she decides to divorce, then she gets half of his money, she gets half of his wealth, and everything that he worked on for all of his life is gone. So that's, I think, one of the biggest factors.
Sure.
And then the society right now, when with the modern world, we're having the society pushing for no marriage, and that's because people are having their marital needs met without actually having marriage. So there's that big point there. And
Now, when you say marital needs being met without being married,
yes,
explain that.
it was, well, any woman being okay with her having a child with a guy without being married.
Yeah, that's all. Yes.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, it really
let's
is.
go a little bit beyond that, like 100 years or more. Any woman that is willing to have sex with a guy without being married to him. I'm not saying, oh, now you shouldn't go have sex with people until we're a different world, we're different things, but it started with that.
Mm-hmm.
It started with trying to have sex. So now a guy doesn't really need to get married to have sex. So because most women are okay with having sex without marriage, so we have that point there, and then I think also the fact that the marriage is so powerful and is so necessary is that people are different. They're gonna argue and fight, and if you are in a relationship that could be split just like this, any life suffering or any life speed bump that's gonna happen to that's gonna break the relationship right off. But if you're married to someone, you're way more willing to communicate, sit down and talk about it and try to figure it out than if you were just in a relationship that has no legal bonding or no consequences to splitting it. Like a piece of paper.
Well, I think, I mean, you're spot on, right? I mean, once again, it all goes back into what being taught, right? Because more and more, 80% of women, 80% of women
Mhm.
have children out of wedlock.
Mhm.
80%, that means 8 out of every 10 women
Mhm.
aren't married.
Yep.
And that's ridiculous, right? So think about that for a second, right? That's a huge number. 60-40, okay. 50-50, okay. I understand half and half. But 80%,
hmm
so what? That has no
And
value.
also 50% of marriages or more get divorced.
Yes.
End up in divorce. So you get they get 10% of women are not really married because even the ones that get married, 2% of 50% of them get divorced.
Right. Exactly. But once again, there's a lot of things. It's called I think it's called um, it's like I forget what it's like community something. Like so when you live with someone at a certain period of time,
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily marriage, but you are still entitled
Mm-hmm.
to have of that individual's.
Yes, in Canada, yep.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and you did absolutely nothing to help obtain that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All you did was come in, lay down, open your legs a little bit, and basically cook his meal. Did this, bit a pretty face on the man's arm, and now you're divorcing him, and now you get half of his life savings
Mm-hmm.
and earnings,
Mm-hmm.
and you actually did nothing to help obtain it.
Yeah.
And that has no value. That's zero value, right? So let's talk about those men for a second, right? So let's shift gears a little bit because I love what you're saying. It's actually making me.
I'm thinking as I'm talking.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Exactly. I mean, it's natural.
Yeah.
Right. So so basically, let's.
But it makes it also not necessarily. It's natural and it's also not necessarily right, and it's also not necessarily my full conclusion.
Yeah.
Because if I started thinking about it a little more, I might actually have a better insight and have a better opinion about it. But I'm thinking about it as I'm talking to you, which is what creates truth. Truth is always moving, and the only way to figure it out is by sitting and talking and getting to the truth together.
Sure.
Because you're gonna push your opinion and you're gonna try to figure out what's wrong and what's right about it and convince me with what's right, and I'm gonna do the same. So if we both are having a conversation that we're both trying to get more richer out of by knowing more about each other and knowing therefore more about the world, that's where we get to the truth. But go ahead and continue with your.
Yeah, and by the way, I was told it's called common law marriage. That's what it's
Common
called.
law marriage.
Common law marriage. Yeah, absolutely. So emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. Okay.
Define emotional intelligence for me.
All right. Emotional intelligence. I'm giving you my definition, not the Webster's definition, right? So emotional intelligence to me is being able to handle a situation, to think before you speak. Basically, what it is. To think before you act, think before you speak, think before you respond.
Yes.
Emotional intelligence is that think part of it, right? So it basically, like I said, in my opinion, it's just you being able to, before you go in on someone, you take a step back and say, okay, let me think about this for a second before I take,
make a decision.
Go down a path that I can't turn back, right? So that's how I interpret my emotional intelligence. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'd say that's intelligence in general, more than just emotional intelligence.
Gotcha.
But I don't really know exactly what emotional intelligence means. But my understanding of it is the ability of taking your emotions out of the decision, and more of basically, especially when it comes to like a relationship intelligence. A relationship situation is basically to, if you're mad at your wife for a certain reason, not to, let's say you think that she's cheating on you, and the reason why you think is cheating on you is because she's not answering your text messages and your phone calls. Well, at this point, your emotional intelligence should be like, okay, maybe she is in the bathroom, maybe she's doing her hair, maybe she's not really cheating on me. I've only been trying to do that for the last 5 minutes, and it's been happening. So your emotional intelligence would tell you there's a lot of other reasons that she might not be doing that, which is the same with what you're saying, but I'm saying more specific point. There is a lot of other reasons, and let me just find ways to check off those other reasons that they're true or not true before I jump to that conclusion.
Right. But do you think self-esteem has a lot to do with that too as well? As far as if you have high self-esteem, then you aren't thinking about she's cheating. You aren't thinking about, well, maybe she's with another man or something, right? You have self-confidence, right? They say, well, you know what? Okay, maybe she's probably busy. Maybe she's at the grocery store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's probably working out.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
let's throw some positive thoughts in there.
Yeah, well, if you have high self-esteem, you know your worth, and you know she wouldn't cheat on you because you are providing so much value. Because when a woman cheat, she doesn't cheat because she. When a man cheat is different than when a woman cheat. When a man cheat, he can cheat because he saw an opportunity. First of all, second of all, the opportunity provided him somebody who's attractive, young, and beautiful, and that you know that's there's a lot. If a man cheats on a woman, he might still love that woman, but if a woman cheats on a man, she doesn't love that man. So if you have high self-esteem,
Okay, now we're kicking with grease, right?
exactly, and if you have high self-esteem and you are a strong man and you're providing your wife or your girlfriend or whomever your mate is with the needs and the wants that they want, and you know that even if another guy can trump you in a certain amount, like let's say money, or like he's a CEO, you're a CFO, but you know that you have all the other values checked for that woman, and she wouldn't just cheat on you with the closest opportunity she gets. You know, when a woman cheat, it's done deal. Like your relationship is over. But when a man cheat, he could cheat for so many reasons, and he can still love his woman to death, and can still go kiss her feet just to get back to him.
Oh wow! Well, we got someone on the podcast here that said
If she's the right woman, though,
it's the right
she's
woman.
the right woman. Yes.
We got someone
However,
on
if
the
she's
podcast.
the right woman, he's way less likely to cheat on her. And if he's a true man, he's way less likely to cheat on her.
All right. Well, we got somebody on the podcast that said, "Nah, it's not true." Well, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna finish talking here, but I want to make sure that you tell me this. Nah, not true. Please fill in the blank and let us know.
Not true.
Basically, I think she was saying, "No, not true." As far as when a man cheats with a woman, then he still loves the woman. But when a woman cheats on a man, then it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like what you said. First, I think sometimes women cheat. I think women are actually sneakier than men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, just call it what it is. Women cheat with men out of town, across town.
Mm-hmm.
Men cheat with women that are next door to them, next door neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Men cheat when he gets the opportunity. Women cheat because there is something lacking in the relationship and is not getting fulfilled. That's why she's going to cheat. And if she thinks it's not over for her, and she can still go back to the man and still be loyal to him, well, it's not over to an extent. If that man is willing to go back to the relationship, first of all, and she's gonna cheat again because he did not fill a certain need for her. He did not fill either confidence, competence, or the status that she's looking for.
But here's the thing: why cheat? Just leave. If by chance that you aren't happy in a relationship, then why are you here?
Look, you can be a conscientious person who works hard, who makes money, who provides the safety and security to women, but you do not have the masculinity that a woman desires and finds sexy. So a woman would want to stay with that man because he provides the money. A lot of women are money driven now.
Yeah.
So he provides the money.
True.
But he's really not being man enough, not fulfilling her gap of or not fulfilling the strong personality, the guidance, the leader of the family, the leader of the small organization that we have. Like there's a lot of women that would marry a man that is way older than them because he got the money, but rest assured that this woman have cheated or been cheating or will cheat on that man at some point and will try to fake it or try to hide it from him so he won't know, so she can still keep her benefits and stuff, but she can still go mingle with the men that she finds actually attractive. Because you're not going to be an attractive man to an actual woman who's feminine enough, okay, who has the average femininity to be attracted to something like that. There's a lot of women out in the world that are more masculine than most men.
And that's awful.
That's awful. It's awful. But these women, my ex-girlfriend, her mom, and her dad. Her dad was the pushover type. He was a dentist, and he had his own family business and everything. And his wife was leading the family by the freaking the whip. She would yell at everybody. Everybody is scared of her. And I remember one time I went on vacation. I started figuring out my true self because everybody is scared of her. And we went on vacation with me, and they invited me because boyfriend of the daughter, her son, have brought his friends, and his friends he had got a girlfriend and kids, and they were so afraid of talking to the mom about certain things. And I was when she talks to me, I direct her face to face, and if I had a problem with her, I would tell her. She had nothing holding over me, you know. I mean, her daughter is afraid of her. She tells me, don't do this and that and that and that in front of her. But when it comes to me and the mom personally, I would not be afraid to tell her what's going on in my head. And I remember this is the start of me figuring out my actual true potential and my strength of my personality that was suppressed by my stepmother in my childhood. Is when that lady told me, you have so much courage. And then the son of the daughter's like, why do you think he's so much courage? Because he talked to your mom that way. I'm like, what way did I talk to her mom? But then I remembered that, yeah, I'm actually the only one who talks back to her mom. No one talks back to her mom. No one say no or even discuss it, even attempts to argue with her.
So you were the only one that stood up.
I'm the only one that, yeah, but I didn't really stand up. I was just curious about something, and I was not afraid to talk about it. But everybody was afraid to talk about it, you know. And yeah, that was a point in my life where I turned around. I'm like, oh wow, okay, there's maybe more things to me than what I thought there was.
Wow, that's interesting to say. You know, you said something here earlier.
But she's a tyrant. She's a woman that have more masculinity than most men in the situation that we were in. And there is the only man that could have kept up with her and could have actually is her husband, who's, I would not say he's a simp, but I would say he's sacrificing everything, all his comfort for his kids. And I remember one day we were playing at the pool, and he told me, and he almost cried. He told me, you know, Ash, everything I do is for these two. And he pointed at his two kids, the one that was 15-year-old and the one that was 7-year-old, and there was a tear in his eye. Wow. And I knew he must not be comfortable having to deal with all that bullshit. And you know what happened to that relationship? They're in divorce proceedings. He found a younger woman that was willing to take him and to make him feel like the man he truly is.
Exactly.
Because he's competent, he's confident, he works hard. There is a man in him, but he was suppressing so much shit because he didn't want to break the relationship he had with his wife because of his kids.
Wow. That's interesting you say that. Now, we're going to shift.
Okay.
We're going to pivot and shift.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because now we need to understand what value a woman brings to a man.
Yes.
Right? As far as the preserved value.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Because see, here's the thing. No man wants a woman that's masculine. I don't care. Women, if you're listening out there.
No true man wants a woman that's masculine.
Put your dick up. Put your dick up. We don't want women that are masculine. Okay, we no true man. Exactly. We don't want that. Okay, especially an alpha man does not want a woman who can overtalk him, overstep him, over just exist in his presence. Men cheat, to me personally, because they cheat with a more feminine woman.
Yeah.
They want a woman that's more feminine. Yeah. They want a woman that's actually going to help please them.
And part of femininity is beauty. Part of femininity is cuteness. Part of femininity is being also young to a certain extent. So let's say, you know, you're a 40 years old man, you're dating a 39-year-old woman, and then you went and cheated with a 32-year-old woman. The reason why you cheated is because you find her younger, more feminine, more attractive, more childbearing.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know? So, but there's a lot of other reasons. But yeah, the major is femininity. Yeah, there's lack of femininity.
Yeah, because men don't care about your money.
Yeah.
Men don't care about your status. Men don't care about your degrees. We don't care, especially men that have their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. Okay, you got it. Great. But we don't care about that because that is not, at the end of the day, that is not what we're going to be looking back on in our 70s and 80s. Well, I'm with her because she sure got her degree.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I never saw you all behind a hearse. When you go, when you're gone, you can't take it with you.
Yeah.
So nobody cares, right? So let's shift a little bit, right? So let's talk a little bit about the preserved value from a woman. Okay, from a man's perspective. Okay, the main reason why it's important for men to pursue a high value woman is because the woman you choose to spend time with will have a profound impact on your levels of success, happiness, and the fulfillment of life. Is that true?
Well, what is a high value woman? Is a high value woman a woman that have her own job, that have her own house, that has that is this the same as a high value man?
Not necessarily, because a high value woman embraces her femininity,
Exactly.
right?
She's feminine enough.
Feminine.
She is
Agreeable.
yes. Most women are agreeable.
She's kind.
Yep. She's kind.
She takes care of her health. She's in shape.
Mhm.
She's friendly.
Mhm.
She's cooperative.
Mhm.
She's submissive.
Submissive, yeah, is a big part of it.
It's a big part of it.
However, submissive in not the senses that everything you say will happen. That's not submissive. Submissive in the end that okay the end of discussion is yours. Okay, the result of the end of this, I don't know how to formalize it, but let's say for example. I don't want a woman that is gonna just say yes to me everything.
Oh yeah. We don't want that.
I want you to discuss and negotiate and tell me where I'm going wrong and tell me how I can do right about it, and be able to stand up to me when you think I'm doing too much or too little, or I'm not doing the thing that I should do. But at the end of the same, what is the end all or the decision making is to me,
Right.
or not necessarily to me. We reach it together, but I have 51% of ability to make the decision. The majority. I have the majority to make decision, 51% plus. Submissive and bad, that's a kink, and that's like depend on the people. But yeah, of course, I'd rather be more dominant.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Well, it goes also too. It says here she saves her sexual power for one man.
Yes, true.
That's true.
True. Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to be totally uninhibited with your partner, right? What happens behind a closed door is between you, her, and the bed sheets, pretty much, right? But when you put limitations in that space, when you say, "Oh no, I can't do that. I won't do that. Oh God, that sounds crazy," whatever. Then all you're doing is allowing that man to go out and get it done with somebody else. Because trust and believe, the ratio is 8-1, right? 8 women to 1 man, right? Here today, it's in the world we live in today. So guarantee you.
So there's more women than men. That there's like 8 times more women than there's men.
Absolutely, absolutely, right. So if you sit and do the math, and here's the thing too, and I'm speaking from the African American perspective. 1 out of every 4 Black women will get married in their lifetime. That means 75% of Black women will not be married. 80% of divorces are filed by women. 80% of children are born out of wedlock and basically have no fathers in existence. That's another podcast, obviously, but still going back to the actual, going back to the actual 1 out of 4, that means 75% of women, 75% of women will not get married. One out of every 4 women. Here's the thing, though, too, right? So when we have TV shows or movies like Tyler Perry, I Can Do Better by Myself, and Think Like a Man, Atlanta Housewives. We have all these different shows that don't produce strong men, right? Housewives of Dubai, whatever. What about the real men of the world? What about a television show that depicts men as being leaders, fathers, husbands, successful, loving their families? Oh, I'm sorry, that won't sell. It's too boring.
Well, I mean, listen. What the things that are done right and done good goes unnoticed. The things that are done wrong, these are the things that always shine up, and that's the thing. Most people, like for example, if you're trying to get a promotion, a few of the things that you need to be doing is to go and tell. First of all, do good and make sure that you're competent and that you're doing better than everybody else at work and you're doing your job right. The second thing is to document the things that you're doing extra. Third thing is to go and tell your employer that, hey, I'm doing this and this and this. And this is what happens with you having me here, and this is what would happen if you don't have me here. So you go ahead. Therefore, I'm asking for a little bit more extra pay. So that's why you need to show them that you're doing right and you're doing good. And that's the thing that's going on in this world. It's not, as you said, it's not interesting. It's not attractive. It's not controversial when you're doing the right thing. So no one hears about these things. And Therefore, we get a perception of the world that, oh, most men are doing awful. Most men are not doing their job. They're abusive. They take advantage of this. They can take advantage of that, and they're not doing their part. But if the men were not doing their part, we will see way more degenerate society than we are seeing right now. And and this is another point that I wanted to lead to say is one of the biggest signs of degeneration of the society is when single parenting becomes something approximating the norm.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And it is not just approximating the norm; it is the norm right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awful.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
And when a child or when a single individual is raised without a mother figure and a father figure, there is a huge gap in their life. And I'm saying this from experience firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
My father was absent because he was a lot of times at work, and my stepmother basically was a tyrant, and I was too agreeable of a kid to the point that every time before my father come home, whether it's for like lunch around from 3 to like 5, or whether it's like at night and I'm lucky enough to stay up till he comes, my stepmother is like, okay, you've been a great child, you've been amazing behaving, and I really like you, and because of that I'm gonna let you out of the room. And then I don't know how she implanted this in my head, but that automatically made me say, oh, she's an amazing stepmother. She's amazing now. She's not bad. I don't have to tell anybody about this. I just go enjoy my life and stuff. And my father never knew about it. So therefore, kind of, my father was there as a father figure, but my mom was not there as a mother figure. Mm-hmm. And instead of it, there was a tyrant. So I grew up trusting in so many people, just because I thought that they're trustworthy. Because my mom, who teach me trust and who teach me compassion and how compassion should really be. My stepmother, when she sees somebody yelling at me and kicking me or like throwing me away or not allowing me to play with them, she blames it on me. You're the bad kid. You're the awful kid. You're the one who doesn't do this. Go to your bedroom. Don't play with them. And she would encourage them. She'd tell them, if Ash does anything wrong, come to me and tell me. And I could do something as tell them, oh, you play with this car, I play with this car. They say, no, I want to play with your car. I'm like, no, this is my favorite car. I'd like to play with it. And they have to go tell my stepmother. Anybody that can play with my stepmother, that's going to result me going to my bedroom and being locked away, watching all those kids, the neighbors and not the neighbors, our relatives that come with their kids and stuff play, and I'm locked in my bedroom. And I would hear like the women at the gathering would tell her, like, don't do this thing. This is bad to him. It's like, no, he got to learn. He's a bad kid. And I was a bad kid because I resulted to like certain amount of violence and certain amount of resentment. Like why are you doing all this to me? But I had like so much powers over me. But therefore, I became a pushover. I started not wanting, not telling, like saying okay about everything that happens to me just because I didn't want them to go tell my stepmother. I thought that it's okay for me to be at the end of the list because that's how life is, And until I grew up, until I saw the consequences when you're an adult and what happens to you when you have that, like, I don't even recognize when somebody's yelling at me in a certain way and like talking to me in a bad way. I don't even recognize it because all my childhood people have been yelling at me, especially my stepmother. So when someone is talking to me in a way that they shouldn't, I just think it's normal. So part of it, my current girlfriend, who's amazing, she'd be like, why are you letting him talk to you like this? Why would you allow him to talk to you like this? Why would you not remove yourself from the situation? Or why won't you fight back, And a few years before, like a much younger person than me, and then she told me, Timmy was also a much younger person than me, and he would talk to me in a very weird way, and I would be okay with that, and like not notice that he's yelling at me. And who the heck you think you are to talk to me like this? It's so normal. So there's results and consequences of having a single parent. That's my stepmother was supposed to be there instead of my mom, but she did the opposite. She did worse. So imagine that's my stepmother who has like some conscience. She did not grow up in a she had a duty towards me to basically raise me the right way. So she was going against her nature with that. Imagine if a person who doesn't have a father or mother figure, if the father or mom not there to fill that spot, someone else will fill it. And you want to make damn sure that the right person is filling that spot because whomever fills it is gonna screw the entire adulthood of that child up. And if that child is not smart enough, or is not competent enough, or if not put in the correct environment that he can actually flourish and learn it on his own in a reasonable amount of time, that child is screwed. That child is gonna be
Traumatized.
that child's gonna reach 40 years
Yeah.
old, and he's gonna be an infant 40 years old, and that's a really bad looking person, a really bad behaving person. Like that person think is entitled. He's probably, that person is probably on drugs because his axiomatic beliefs are all struck down. He feels like he's doesn't belong anywhere. He feels like there's, if he didn't really commit suicide, he's gonna be on drugs, or he's gonna be fighting every time he builds a little bit, someone else comes and take it from him because of his naivety.
Wow, that's powerful. Wow. Well, wow. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to ask you two questions here. We're going to kind of cap it off, right? So basically, first question is, what do men create? Second question is, what do women preserve?
What do men create? Men create walls. Men create protection. Men create men men create the iPhone. Men create the house that you live in. Men plumb and create sanity. From in terms of sanitation.
Mm-hmm.
Men innovate. Men do all those things that we're right now, like any person right now feeling that their life is awful and they're living in agony. Look at the world 150 years from now, when there was like not enough sanitation, when there was
Sure.
not there's no iPad, there's no internet. Men created all that. However, women collaborated with men back in the days in order to provide them with the life, with the food, with the ability to feel that they're working for something, which is their family. And women are the people who have raised these men when they were children to become the men who they are right now.
That's correct.
And I'm not saying that a woman cannot do all the things that I just mentioned, but a woman can do all the things that I just mentioned because our ancestors and the people back in our history sacrificed themselves, died, and created all those knowledge that accumulated for us to be able to enjoy all the fruits of their labor back in the days. And that's that with the invention of tampons, with the invention of toilets, with the invention of birth control, those three things allowed women to be unshackled from the constraints, the biological constraints and the sanitary constraints that used to hinder their brain power in order for them to be able to contribute to the evolution, the technological evolution of humans. And by me saying this, okay, a lot of people are gonna say, oh, you're too you have toxic ideologies and you're like misogynistic. No. Men are capable right now of doing what most mentally of everything that men can do because of those unshackling of the biological stuff. But if the majority of women are adopting men's roles, men are never gonna be able to adopt women's roles in the same way because men biologically are not as compassionate, they're not as agreeable, they're incapable of taking care of a child in a way that a woman can. Yes, maybe a small percentage of men can, but not all men can, not the majority of men can. And a smaller percentage of women can adopt the men's responsibilities, and you can see that manifested in what was it, Camille Vasquez, I mean, her job is really so much. It could be work for a man or a woman, but like, look how amazing she is. What she did to Johnny Depp, she proved exonerated him, and he's a man.
Yeah.
She fought for him. Such a great woman.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
I mean, the Supreme Justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. There is a lot of people that. I mean, Oprah to an extent. A lot of people in the world. I mean, that have a lot of women that have adopted men's responsibilities, and they did much better than most men or all men that could have been in their position. but that doesn't generalize the rule. That doesn't make a man have certain hormones and certain compassion and built in a certain way biologically to adopt uh, uh, the responsibility of a woman and vice versa.
Okay. Okay. Great response.
Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate that. Well, folks, this is my man Ash. My man. I'm flattered that you're able to join us,
I'm
man.
flattered to be in the podcast.
Hey, bro, listen, this is just one of many more to come. I appreciate you. I thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to say this. I'm going to put it out there for the world to hear. I'm going to like virtually adopt you, as as my son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exactly. I think I'm older to be your
You're
dad.
my American father.
There you go, American father. Exactly. And since we're very close in proximity, Mikasa Sukasa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Life is good.
Gracias.
Yes. And me having the mother and father active in my life helped me put me where I am today.
Yes.
My mother and father, my father was a disciplinarian, but still, son, what's wrong? Let me talk to me, and sharing and spending time with his boy. I have four other brothers and 7 sisters. I have a big family, but at the same token, I did have the opportunity to grow up in a household with 2 parents, 2 active parents. So that in itself is a win when it comes to structure, development, and also help me put where I am today. So my goal here is to also allow to share that with the world as well as my own children too, in the same token. So welcome to the family, my friend.
Thank you.
There you go. So this is Boz, the Men Speaking Out. We're here with Ash. Thank you very much again. Please visit us at menspeakingout.com. We're on all type of podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Play, you name it, we're there. And especially the website, www.menspeakingout.com. God bless. Take care.